So I went online and I bought a VEVOR 5 horsepower starter for my 230 volt air compressor. And when it came in the mail, it came with a list of 100 different models, and didn't tell you which model this one is, and even the electrical diagram they give you, half of these numbers and letters don't align with the product you actually get. So without knowing which one of these 4 models I actually have, it is this dimension, I had to start analyzing this thing with my meter. And what I found out is the power comes in the top here. When the relay fires, it'll throw, if the magnetic switch turns on, it will let the electricity flow out the bottom, and your motor attaches back here. Now, if your motor is 3-phase, you'll use all 3 wires. If it's just a 240 volt or 220 like this one, I'm just going to use these outer 2. And the input also will just be the outer 2. I won't use the middle one. Now, this half of your relay, this is the relay up here, and this half down here, all this does is measure the amperage, and you can set a disconnect. And the disconnect actually doesn't stop the electricity from flowing through. What it does is it throws these little contacts here. You have a set of normally open or a set of normally closed. So in order to energize the relay, there's a set of contacts down here. And these 2, I labeled them A1, A2, because that's what the documentation refers to them, but there isn't any place that mentioned it. So the way this is wired, you got power coming in, and you jumper that down to one side of the electromagnet. And then the other side, it's got to go through some switches. So the power comes in here. This switch here is basically simulating my pressure switch that's on my air compressor. And that lets electricity come to here. This one is normally closed, so as long as it hasn't thermally overloaded or amperage overloaded, the electricity will come back out and flow all the way back into the electromagnet. So when the pressure says turn on, it will throw the electromagnetic switch, and as long as it doesn't overload, it will run. Eventually this pressure switch that's on my air compressor will release the contacts, and then it will stop the electromagnet and shut down the motor. So these 2 leads are going to go out to your pressure switch. You can leave this little manual switch in here if you want to, but the 2 leads that go out there, normally they're open until it gets up to pressure, and then they close. Power in, power out, there she goes.